pickup trucks that were born before the internet, and they still start up every morning like it's the first day. While modern trucks give up after barely 200,000 kilometers, these mechanical beasts keep going with over 1 million kilometers on the clock. Today I will reveal 10 legendary pickup trucks created in an era when durability was not a promise, but a requirement. So stick with me until the end, because number one is so reliable that it's still used by armies and rescue teams in the most extreme places on the planet. 10. Nissan Frontier, 1998-2004. The Frontier from the late 90s and early aughs has something odd about it. It doesn't demand that you love it, it only asks that you use it. It doesn't arrive with elegant promises or tech adverts. It arrives with mechanics that keep the only promise that matters in the real world. It takes you where you need to go and brings you back. That engine, simple, linear, and honest in delivery, doesn't need you to explain what work is. It understands it by nature. In towns where workshops don't have expensive scanners or exclusive parts, the Frontier shows itself unbeatable because it was designed so a neighborhood mechanic recognizes it at first glance. What makes it special isn't a horsepower number on a sheet, it's the absence of surprises. If you keep up basic maintenance, the Frontier becomes a companion for endless shifts. Uphill runs with heavy loads, dirt roads that look like dry rivers, and days when the sun sets and the work keeps going. Drivers who keep them for years don't collect stories of absurd breakdowns. They collect tales of miles and makeshift offices in the bed. I drove it through mud up to the doors and scrubbed it the next day, many say. And when those owners sell, it's not uncommon for the truck to end up with a relative or a neighbor. The Frontier is one of those machines passed on with pride, not pity. Another practical virtue is accessibility. Simple parts, engine access without gymnastics, and elements a young or seasoned tech can diagnose by feel and ear. That cuts time, bills, and stress. On the road, the Frontier feels like a vehicle created by someone who spent a lifetime fixing cars and decided not to overcomplicate what was necessary. It doesn't try to get attention in the city, but on a job site or on the farm, it earns respect. It moves loads with steadiness, survives long shifts, and starts again on the first try when you head back to town for parts. Also, its maintenance-friendly character translates into mechanical sociability. If something breaks, there's almost always a local fix. A pump, a gasket, an alternator that won't require shipping the truck to the capital. That made it a favorite with local haulers, small farmers, and anyone who needs a truck that won't leave them halfway down the road. In short, the Frontier doesn't show off, it works. That attitude makes it an honest choice for anyone who measures usefulness in hours worked, not in likes. Notice before we continue, this isn't polished dealer PR. Here I tell you which pickups can leave you stranded and which ones will stick with you to the end. Stay until the end, subscribe, and you'll see which ones really deserve your money. Before we continue, let me tell you this. This is the channel car dealerships don't want you to watch, because here we show things exactly as they are. No filters, no sugarcoating. Subscribe and leave a like if you don't want to be sold smoke and mirrors, and make sure your next car isn't a cleverly disguised disappointment. 9. Chevrolet S10, 1990s. The 90s S10 has the calmness and coherence of something built to last quietly. It doesn't look for applause outside a garage. It wants to pull up to the dock, load tools, and return at the end of the day with the bed full and the engine still behaving as it should. Many chose it for that reason. A mechanical package that asks for no theatrics, a size that fits where others don't, and a reliability you feel the first cold start in the morning. Its heart, often the Vortec 4.3L, wasn't designed for magazine covers. It's built for continuity, a piece that, with oil in order and filters changed, keeps its temperament and performance. That simplicity highlights another virtue. When things break, it's usually not something exotic or impossible to fix. It's something a neighborhood mechanic recognizes, strips down, and gets running. That's why the S10 became the everyday partner of electricians, plumbers, small haulers, and municipal fleets that don't want midweek surprises. The stories around it don't come from showrooms, they come from the street. I've heard about S10s that spent a night rescuing stuck trucks during a storm, and after a wash and a quick check, went back to work as if nothing had happened. There are municipal units with enormous mileages still in service, thanks to simple maintenance and easily obtainable parts. Those narratives get passed between colleagues at the shop door and are, in practice, the best recommendation this model has. The strength of the S10 isn't only its engine, it's its size and balance. Compact compared to giant pickups, it offers maneuverability in narrow streets, small farms, or industrial zones where space is at a premium. That versatility makes it more useful than it looks. You can get it into places other trucks only dream of without giving up the payload that matters day to day. For the local mechanic, a S10 is almost a relief. Abundant parts, documented procedures, and the chance to get it back on the road quickly cut waiting time and headaches. There's no glamour in its story, just no-nonsense effectiveness. When the situation calls for serious work, the S10 doesn't pretend, it delivers. That behavior turned it into a recurring resource for modest fleets, a name spoken with respect by laborers, and a regular sight in shops where experience matters more than trends. If you need a tool that doesn't try to be something else, the S10 still makes the hard stuff a little easier in real life. 8. Mitsubishi L200, 1990s, 2000s. The L200 is one of those pickups that doesn't show off, but when you test it in real terrain, it leaves no doubt this is built to work. Its reputation was forged on roads that don't appear on tourist maps, on farms where pavement is a distant idea, and on jobs where getting replacement parts can take days. In those settings, the L200 proved its mettle. It powers through mud as if reading an old postcard, tolerates problematic fuel, and gets back on the road with the same will it had when the day started. That resilience comes from clear design choices. A 2.5-liter diesel tuned for duty rather than for photos, a simple driveline that doesn't rely on cascades of sensors, and a rear suspension set up to take repeated loads and impacts. In mining and rural sectors where every minute stopped means lost money, that simplicity is the difference between finishing the shift and getting stranded. That's why the L200 earned the nickname, the one that comes back. You pull it out of a ditch, check a hose, fire it up, and you're surprised that after a hard day, it responds without drama. Another strength is its tolerance for less than ideal conditions. Filters that aren't always clean, fuel stations with variable diesel quality, and stretches of road with no services for miles. Many owners tell stories of L200s that kept running when more delicate vehicles had already started showing trouble. That doesn't make the model invincible. Maintenance is still required, but it does give the truck a margin to endure more than you might expect from a vehicle of its size. The L200 also bets on practical details, easy access to components, repairs that don't demand stripping half the machine, and an architecture that admits field fixes. In remote places, those traits translate into shorter downtime and the ability to improvise solutions that get the pickup back into service quickly. That operational resilience is what makes it valuable to people who work where waiting for parts simply isn't an option. Finally, its character is sober and utilitarian. It's not the pickup for someone looking for luxury or cutting-edge tech. It's the partner for someone who needs reliability and easy repairability. Use it in hard conditions, and the L200 gives you miles and confidence. Every shift confirms it as a tool that prioritizes essentials over fluff. In short, the L200 doesn't deceive, you get what it promises, and that's why those who know it respect it. 7. GMC Sierra 1500 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 mid-late 90s. Talking about the Sierra and Silverado from those years conjures up the idea of the pickup as a public workhorse. Big, straightforward, and without concessions. They weren't made to dazzle a showroom. They were designed to be a poncho in the rain and a workbench on the job site. In towns, sawmills, and agricultural operations, you'd see them lift beams, tow trailers full of equipment, and come home at night after shifts that seemed to never end. That do-whatever-it-takes vocation is their most honest trait. At the heart of these trucks sits the Vortec and its variants, engines that aren't elegant virtuosos, but are dependable machines. They accept hard miles, moderate overloads, and long periods of continuous use without falling apart. Add a ladder frame chassis built to resist torsion and impacts, and transmissions developed to work rather than make headlines. And what you get is a vehicle that ages on the road, not on the tow truck. That structural toughness explains why many contractors preferred these pickups. They minimize unexpected downtime and keep working when others are already queued at the dealership. There's a second life that makes these GMs especially valuable. After years of service, when they come back to the used market, they still find buyers. And those buyers aren't sentimental. They're people looking for certainties, a straight frame, an engine that doesn't whine, and a bed that will take a long load without flinching. In rural areas, that's worth more than any touchscreen. It means fewer days parked, fewer trips to the junkyard, and the comfort of knowing that if something fails, there's almost always an affordable, available alternative. A used part, a repro piece, or a shop that already knows which part tends to go first. Another unstated virtue is how they age. The Sierra and Silverado don't try to look new. They aim to keep serving. A dented bumper or a bed full of work marks can even add credibility in certain trades. They show a history of real work, not suburban joyrides. That functional patina is often welcome because behind it, you usually find an engine that starts in cold weather and a chassis that hasn't warped over time. Exactly what matters when the job calls. The ecosystem around them also matters. Abundant parts, accessible manuals, and technicians who know the model like the back of their hand. That network shortens repair time and cuts costs, which in practice keeps the truck on the road longer and out of the shop. Plus, these pickups take field modifications well. Tool racks, protection cages, bed reinforcements, installed without technical miracles or expensive calibrations. In short, Sierra and Silverado from the mid to late 90s are the American idea of work translated into metal. They don't chase Instagram likes. They look for workers who demand performance. If you need a tool that tows, endures, and lets you build a workday without drama, these trucks remain a sensible, above all practical choice. 6. Isuzu D-Max Rodeo 2000s. Isuzu didn't build the D-Max to win beauty contests. It designed it for daily use in places where the word comfort means something different. Drive through regions where gas stations are a memory and logistics require improvisation. And you'll see Isuzus with unbelievable mileages and owners who treat them like sacred tools. That reputation isn't accidental. It rests on a clear philosophy, accessible reliability, and easy repairability. Under the hood, the D-Max carries diesel engines that believe in simplicity, a sober turbo, intake, and exhaust paths that don't twist into puzzles, and filters and components that are straightforward to reach. That layout turns a breakdown from a ritual of despair into a concrete task. Find the part, change it, get back on the road. In places where ordering a part takes days, that advantage isn't cosmetic, it's operational. That's why rescue teams, rural operators, and small companies don't see the D-Max as a luxury. They see it as a working plan executed in metal. Power delivery is another strong suit. The D-Max doesn't brag about headline numbers. It manages torque sensibly for real tasks, towing moderate loads, carrying daily payloads, running long shifts. That translates into fuel efficiency for the class and less stress on the transmission and differentials. In continuous use environments, that measured use prevents premature repair cycles and keeps the truck doing full days without constant moaning from the drivetrain. In practice, the gearbox and driveline are the workshop's friends, transmissions with limited electronic fuss, accessible components, and faults you can diagnose with experience and an ear. You don't need a highly specific scanner for most jobs. Many interventions are mechanical and straightforward. That opens the door to midnight fixes, parts sourced locally, and the possibility of keeping the vehicle in service with quick interventions. The D-Max also brings an advantage that numbers don't always show: operational calm. Owners don't panic at the first unfamiliar noise. They plan. They inspect, swap the worn part, and carry on. That pragmatic mindset is part of Isuzu's character. It made a tool that keeps pace with real work, not with social media cycles. Finally, the D-Max mixes that functionality with a reasonable cost-to-benefit ratio, decent fuel consumption for its category, relatively accessible spare parts, and an architecture that admits repairs without major drama. It isn't the flashiest pickup, but it's the one that stays in service when geography and logistics conspire against modern complexity. If you need a machine that common hands can fix and that will keep performing, the D-Max is an honest, resolute answer. 5. Toyota Tacoma, 1995-2004. The late 90s to early 2000s Tacoma is more than a pickup. It's a pledge fulfilled. Buy a well-kept one, and you'll quickly see why its resale value doesn't collapse like others. People pay for the certainty that under that sheet metal sits a machine that will start tomorrow, next week, and in 5 years, and that you'll be able to sell it without drama when the time comes. That reputation isn't lore, it's the product of years in which the design proved functional and maintenance remained predictable. This is not myth. It's a contract between owner and machine that has been honored for decades. In everyday use, the Tacoma responds with a kind of quiet dignity. It doesn't panic on rough roads or become temperamental on long trips. The engine and transmission deliver steadily without the fragility peaks or electrical quirks that end with you waiting at the dealer. Use it for moderate towing and you'll notice composure. The bed doesn't vibrate strangely, the suspension takes the load, and the steering stays predictably manageable. It's a truck that lets you focus on the job, not the spec sheet. Tacoma's edge isn't purely technical, it's social. There's a real community of owners, mechanics, and enthusiasts who know exactly what parts wear first, how to extend a component's life, and which aftermarket substitutes work without breaking the truck's coherence. From home-built repair kits to repro parts that behave like originals, the Tacoma lives within an ecosystem where solving a problem is routine, not an adventure. Joining that world isn't just buying a vehicle, it's entering a network that shares tricks, parts, and street-tested fixes. Practically speaking, that reduces downtime and surprises. Another strong point is how it ages. A well-treated Tacoma doesn't try to look new. It ages with practical sense. Paint fades, the bed collects battle scars, but the engine and frame, if maintained, remain rock solid. That brings a kind of unquantifiable peace of mind. Planning a long trip or a hard workday with a Tacoma means accepting a relatively low probability of a failure that leaves you stranded, provided basic care was respected. It's common to hear owners who sell a Tacoma after years of service and buy the same model again because they know the replacement will behave the same. That's not nostalgia, it's confidence earned by experience. In the workshop, the Tacoma is almost an ally. Procedures are known, parts are easy to source, and technicians have mental maps of its weak points and strengths. That translates to fewer hunts for rare components and more hours with the truck on the road. For people who depend on a vehicle as a work tool, technicians, small business owners, farmers, that organized simplicity marks the difference between a productive day and a lost one. In short, the Tacoma of that era is far more than a pickup that endures. It's a complete package. Design aimed at longevity, a community that backs that longevity, accessible parts, and a mechanical mindset that values function over fleeting gloss. If you want a partner that ages sensibly and keeps you moving without too many surprises, the 1995-2004 Tacoma is a candidate that, on the road and in the shop, rarely disappoints. 4 Dodge Ram 2500, 1994-2002. If what you want is torque it with no questions asked, the Ram 2500 from that generation delivers it like a hammer blow. These trucks were born with a single idea: move loads that scare other vehicles, and do it day after day. With massive engines, the 5.9-liter Cummins diesel or the V8 Magnum gas units, the Ram isn't interested in dazzling you with top speed numbers. It's designed to tow, push, and endure whole workdays without negotiating. That design intent is obvious at every start. It's not a shy vehicle, it's a loud mechanical declaration of purpose. Living with a Ram 2500 means accepting a companion that refuses to blend in. On a job site, you hear it before you see it. The low, heavy voice of the engine, the way the frame stays steady when you hitch a load, the confidence it gives you going up steep grades. Contractors and heavy loaders pick it for that reason. In their world, reliability isn't measured in dashboards, but in hours logged and trailers delivered without drama. The oversized frame, axles built for real torque, and reinforced anchor points mean these Rams tolerate loads other pickups wouldn't even consider. The rough look comes with practical logic, accessible components, repairable with standard shop tools, and a mechanical layout that doesn't show off complicated electronics. So in places where time literally equals money and waiting for parts costs workdays, the Ram remains the go-to tool. It's not ideal for silent neighborhood driving or for someone seeking whisper-quiet comfort. It's the choice of the person who needs the machine to respond when the load and the hours won't cut them any slack. It also has character, and that's not trivial. That engine tone, that feel under the pedal, the unmistakable sense that the truck was made for this, become part of daily work. Showing up to a site with a Ram 2500 gives confidence to driver and crew. They know the tool won't quit in the middle of a critical shift. Of course, nothing lasts forever. These machines reward proper maintenance and sensible treatment, but when you take care of them, they return years of heavy-duty service like almost no other. Before revealing the top 3, here's a quick reminder. To stay informed about what dealerships might be hiding, and to truly understand what you're buying, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. We're dedicated to uncovering the secrets they'd rather you never discover. 3. Ford F-150, 1992-1997 generation. F-150s from the early to mid-90s have a special mix. Trucks that seem to understand what you expect of them without frills or empty promises. Ford's approach back then was straightforward. Oversized parts, robust engines, the 4.6 V8 is a good example, and an architecture that prioritized field longevity over fleeting modernity. The result was a vehicle that blends a kind of functional elegance with day-in, day-out toughness, mile after mile. What sets these F-150s apart isn't only their ability to run for long stretches, it's how they age. Rather than unraveling in a shower of warning lights, many retain a noble mechanical life that accepts simple repairs in local shops. That makes them favorites of ranchers, tradespeople, and families who need one vehicle to do everything: carry tools, tow a trailer, go to market, and come back without surprises. The interior withstands real life, sand, mud, boots, and the mechanical simplicity, when respected, avoids unnecessary dealership visits. Workshop stories tell it best. F-150s that went through repairs using salvage parts, patience, and expert hands, only to return to duty as if nothing had happened. That ability to be fixed with what's at hand is priceless where logistics are slow. Add a balance between basic comfort and mechanical toughness, and the driver gains something valuable: the confidence that the truck stays operational without drama while remaining manageable on the road. Another factor in their reputation is parts availability and the accumulated experience of mechanics. When a vehicle has been ubiquitous for years, the fixes for its common faults are almost second nature. That shortens repair times and lowers costs, letting many F-150s age with dignity and usefulness. They aren't showpieces. They're reliable tools that, in the hands of someone who respects them, last and keep doing the job. 2. Ford Ranger, 1998-2005. The Ranger from the late 90s and early 2000s feels like the last relic of an era when pickups were designed to work until the frame said stop, not until a screen decided to power down. Its engines, the Mazda Source 2.5, the 3.0 B6 and variants, weren't made to headline brochures. They were built to endure shifts, start in the cold, and not require an electronic diagnosis every time you ask it to tow. That simplicity is its superpower. When you need a quick fix, you don't need a specialized shop or a subscription scanner. You need an experienced mechanic with steady hands and common parts you can find in any regional supply yard. People who live with a Ranger every day will tell you plainly, its real luxury is predictability. You know which noises are normal, which vibrations deserve attention, and which maintenance prevents surprises. That predictability is gold if you depend on the vehicle for work. Market runs at 5, site at 7, road at midnight. The Ranger won't strand you with weird failures. When something breaks, it's usually a known issue you can solve in a few hours. That's why so many rural shops treat them almost with devotion. Not just because they're easy to work on, but because each repair usually puts the truck back on the road the same day. Another trait that earns affection is component coherence. It's not an extreme machine, but a balanced one. It doesn't aim to be the most powerful nor the plushest pickup. It asks for maintenance at sensible intervals and, in return, gives years of trouble-free service. That balance made it the multi-use companion of farms, small businesses and families, hauling materials, towing light loads, and occasionally handling a long trip without complaint. And when resale time comes, the market recognizes it. A Ranger with service history and care always finds a buyer because reputation functions like a guarantee. Don't confuse toughness with invulnerability. Any abused vehicle will pay the price. But the Ranger has a margin for reasonable mistakes. It tolerates hard use and responds well to prompt, sensible repairs. That's why even today, spotting a Ranger of that generation on the road still inspires confidence. It looks like a time-tested tool meant to be used and fixed, not to sit prettily in a garage. Before we hit number 1, a quick heads up that can save you thousands. Check the usage history. Continuous towing, fleet or taxi duty leaves clear traces and can multiply the real ownership cost. Inspect cylinder compression, oil consumption, and the behavior of the gearbox. If it's automatic, look for buttery smooth shifts and no odd noises. And watch for signs of chassis abuse, odd welds or structural repairs. A unit without major accidents, with up-to-date maintenance and even compression numbers, gives you the predictability these pickups are prized for. Available parts, simple repairs, and few surprises. If you're finding this useful, hit like and subscribe now so you don't miss the gem coming in the number 1 spot. 1. Toyota Land Cruiser 70 Series Pickup, 1990s, 2000s. Putting a Land Cruiser 70 Series pickup at number 1 isn't an exaggeration if you've seen one work for real. This pickup isn't just tough, it's an entire engineering concept built to survive where everything else fails. From the start, the 70 Series was designed with almost military specifications. Simple but hefty ladder frame chassis, diesel powertrains with generous tolerances, and accessible parts you can disassemble and repair in the field. That approach makes it less sophisticated on paper, but infinitely more practical when the dealer is days away and the only help available is another driver with a toolbox. What's extraordinary isn't just that some Land Cruisers rack up more than 1 million kilometers, though that happens. It's how they get there. Decades of real exploitation, hauling trailers, desert crossings, water fords, and long stretches without formal service. The 70 Series was engineered for that use. Oversized radiators, simple pumps and circuits, minimal electronics, an assembly that favors bolts and reparability over fragile trim. Practically speaking, that means a mechanic with basic tools can bring a 70 Series back to life in situations where other pickups would be stranded. Humanitarian orgs, mining companies, armies, and explorers adopted it for a clear reason. The 70 Series keeps running when everything else asks for help. In remote trips, I've seen Land Cruisers used as improvised ambulances, emergency tractors, and delivery vans on shredded tracks. It doesn't offer elegance, it offers operational certainty. That certainty has tangible value: shorter waits for parts, fewer unplanned stops, and a service life that justifies paying more for a well-kept unit. Of course, they're not immortal. Longevity depends on sensible use and basic maintenance. Oil changes, filter checks, cooling system care, and attending to any signs of fatigue. But when those basics are respected, the 70 Series returns years of sustained work. Buying a well-maintained one is buying a tool that is more than a vehicle. It's operational capital. You buy it once, and with upkeep, pass it to the next generation. That promise, that a machine serves long enough to become an heirloom, is the real power of the Land Cruiser 70 Series. Period. Now that you know about these 10 incredibly reliable trucks that make modern ones look fragile, I'd like to know, which one would you choose? You have to pick just one. Leave your choice in the comments and let's see how many of us agree. Although, something many of us will also agree on is watching the video I've linked below, because it could save us a lot of money, time, and headaches in the future. But before you do, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.